Okay, my little pretties. Probably not the last video, but the last entry in my journal. This, I started writing in the club at the airport on the way home and continued all the entire flight. So, almost 6 hours of writing. So here we go. January 28th, 2023, 3 p.m. So I took some time off from recording my experience because I was exhausted and it was becoming stressful to have the burden of documenting hanging over my head. So I decided to just let it go and record what I could remember when I had time. I was able to rest and enjoy the rest of my time at Rhythmia, and now I understand why I had to wait. After Thursday night's ceremony, I felt a little disappointed that I didn't have a grand epiphany and that the last night was anticlimactic relative to Tuesday and Wednesday. But now that I've had time to process and to close out the experience with the community, I have a more positive opinion of my final experience. So as I wait here in the club for my flight, I will try to capture what I can. Thursday, I skipped most of the classes, but I did participate in the plant integration class. I was finally able to contribute something to the group. A woman talked about not being able to understand the messages she was being given, and I explained how I asked Pachamama to speak loud and clear, and that worked, so maybe she could try that. It felt good to help. After class, I had my second cleanse, which I was happy about because I didn't want to have any poop in me before ceremony. After cleanse, I took a shower and we lined up early because we wanted our regular spot by the window. But this time was different. This week was a special guest shaman from Colombia. I think women who are menstruating are not able, or from Colombia, I think. Women who are menstruating are not able to attend because they are powerful and block the shaman's abilities. Now that I know more of how this works, the more I know that it's really important for the shaman to have all his powers fully functional. So this night we were to line up for the shaman and tell him our intention. I told him my intention was to find a way to share my light with the world. He asked about my previous ceremony experiences, so I gave him a high level and he said, "Muy bonita." Yes, I agree, thank you. So I was given healing circle number 1 and was allowed to pick out my own bed. I now know that number 1, I don't know this for sure, but I think, were the highest vibing people, so they were given carte blanche to go where they thought best. Number 2 group was the most challenging group. My friend was in that group, although she didn't cause any problems, so I could be wrong about all of this. I don't think she was there because she's a troublemaker, but because she's a stubborn non-believer, and told him she was looking for hope. That group was in front of the shaman, so he could deal with them more easily. Some people even had assigned beds. Anyway, I was happy to have my regular spot near the door so I could feel the breeze and see the stars. My friend was not able to pick her bed, and I wondered how that would affect my experience. I was worried that someone next to me might purge a lot or be scary, but that didn't happen. A lovely woman whose name I can't remember, but whose face drew me in immediately because of her positive energy, was on my left, and a German guy named John had my friend's spot on my right. Here is what I wrote while waiting for us to get our first cup. Because I'm a good student. We have a long night ahead, and it's a little nerve-wracking because everyone has made a big deal about tonight, which seems scary, especially after Tuesday night. But they also say we all leave on a high note, so I can't imagine it will be bad. But it is a 12-hour experience, so that should be interesting. The first woman we spoke to here during our first yoga class told us she was done by 3 a.m., so it's hard to say what information is correct. Oh, Greg Butcher, the herbal medicine teacher from Huntington Beach, California, who taught our plant integration classes, just came to my area. I just have to trust, as I have been taught that everything will be wonderful. It certainly has been so far, way better than I could have imagined. I learned to trust Pachamama on Tuesday night and have been blessed for it beyond belief. I was also taught Tuesday that I am an important spoke in the wheel of life, and that if I don't play my role, everyone suffers. That role is to be the positive light so that others can see in the darkness. I learned that we were all in this experience together, selected specifically to help each other through so that the individuals lift up the whole. And as such, the whole progresses. I learned that being the light means nothing if others can't see it. As bad, if not worse, than being one who needs help out of the darkness. The shaman is from the Amazon, Taita Juanito, and is here only on occasion. Women with their periods are not able to attend the ceremony because it blocks the shaman's energy. So I am very glad that I do not have mine right now. I don't want to be left out of the party. Now back to what I can remember. Oh, I forgot to mention that when I told Taita my intention, he told me to pray to blossom and for my path to open before me, which of course I did. After writing in my journal, they started to call for people to get their first cup. They asked for people who hadn't had any reaction to come up first. I assumed this batch was extra potent. Another gentleman who was in group 1 went up in this group. I rode with him in the shuttle to the airport today. He ended the night in a diaper with his head covered in toilet paper. It was hysterical. He had no reaction to the medicine prior to this night. Since I had had wonderful reactions, and since I assumed this batch would be strong, I waited. The next batch was for people who had weak reactions, except for Monday night. That also wasn't me. So I took the last batch with everyone else. Since this batch, or the last batch for everyone else, so everyone not in the first two. Since this batch was also for people who had stronger reactions than me, I assume it was a bit weaker than Tuesday, even though Thursday was to be the big night. It surprised everyone that Tuesday turned out to be the big event. I'm still not sure why. Maybe the batch was stronger, maybe we just had a lot of susceptible people. In any case, I took the last batch, and so did my friend. They said it would taste gross and that it was thick and hard to get down. I really didn't mind the taste. Because it was thick, I probably didn't drink the whole cup, as I noticed yesterday that there was still a decent amount left over. But as you know me, everything happens for a reason, so I didn't mind. Again, Pachamama said 1 cup, so I wasn't going to overdo it this time. I sat at my bed for a while as the medicine made its way down. I could feel it a little more this time, so I sat for longer. Once I lay down, I could feel the medicine go through me. I could feel each part of my body tighten as it did its work. It was like a constricting feeling in my organs. I was happy for the feeling that I assumed that meant that the medicine was healing me at each point. As other people had taken their cup earlier than I did, and a stronger batch, the reactions came quickly. People started vomiting as soon as I laid down. I pooped once that night, but didn't vomit. Pachamama had told me how to breathe through it and to relax my body. I could tell that she had trained me on Tuesday night for what was to come Thursday, in more ways than one, but more on that later. This night, she told me to stay on the bed laying down, covered in the blanket, because that is where I was needed. I needed to play my role in the group, and it needed to be there, by the open door. My job was to help everyone to breathe and to move the energy, so that explains the dancing. The breath work came to play as I started to intensely yawn, massive inhales as if I were sucking in the energy, processing it, and then exhaling it out the window. The crazy started to kick off rather quickly as the first to take the medicine started to react. Again, like Tuesday, I thought that the musicians were enacting a song that sounded like something the spirits were saying or that people were thinking, but it turned out that they were actually helping one girl to handle her reaction. She was near me in group 1 and had a very strong reaction. She started yelling, "Where am I? What's my purpose?" They chanted over her and eventually they took her outside where she continued to scream. She even screamed, "I am Lilith!" I learned later that they had to tie her up, which apparently they did to a number of people on Tuesday and Thursday. On a side note, the gentleman in the shuttle told me that he spoke to her the next day and that she had a great experience and only remembers some of what happened. So it really is true that you can't judge anyone's experience from what you hear on the outside. Be right back.